Well, putting women at the center of economic recovery, that's one of the aims of this year's UN Gender Equality Forum. It hopes to bridge the gap between ambition and action in gender equality. Now, this includes addressing many barriers, as well as the realization of women's rights that have a significant impact on widows around the world. Let's chat more about this now with Phumzile Mlambo-Ngcuka from UN Women. Ms. Mlambo-Ngcuka, thanks very much for your time. And very, very interesting. And we understand the Generation Equality Forum happens in a couple of days. I believe it's Tuesday, I think, in Paris. And just tell us more about what are the big topics of discussion for you. What is going to be priority?
Well, thank you so much for having me. Generation Equality is a multi-stakeholder forum, and it's also intergenerational. The topics we are going to be discussing include gender-based violence, technology and innovation, climate, economic justice, where South Africa is one of the leading countries and contributing in that topic, women's leadership, and women's sexual and reproductive rights and health. And we are inviting everybody. This is the time to register.
And just clarify for us, when we talk about generation equality, are we talking about what is passed on from generation to generation? Like, if I get this right, I'm going to make it better for my daughter, and then that's going to just sort of create a more positive cycle, a knock-on effect going ahead?
Yes, it's both giving over to the next generation, the generation that was not there in Beijing more than 26 years ago, but it's also accepting that the oldest and the youngest who is living today, we are all in one generation, and we all have to do our best to move the agenda forward. But there is a key focus on handing over to the young people so that they will be able to be the leaders of today, which they already are, and they are making a lot of difference. They are the majority of the human beings on the planet who do not get the recognition that they deserve. And of course, many of them are substantive on the issues that they deal with, and they need to be heard.
And among those groups, and I was very fascinated when I saw your tweet about this, and it was about International Widows Day, which was last week. And I'm sure many people didn't even know that that existed. But it's so important that we focus on this particular group because we hardly ever consider them. And tell us why the specific focus on widows and the challenges that they are experiencing.
You know, there's 40% of the countries of the world where we still have laws that discriminate against women because they are widows. So this is a very large population of women. Women are discriminated against when they are not married. They are discriminated against when their husbands die. It's almost like it's not enough just to be yourself. And the discrimination that they experience impacts on custody of children, on inheritance, on property rights, and these are all the needs you have and need to have when you do not have a partner. And COVID-19 has taken a lot of men, unfortunately. So we're going to see not just a lot of orphans, but also a lot of widows. And we need to raise our voice on their behalf in order to make sure that we address the inequalities that these women face.
So how will the forum actually address this? Who are you talking to and what's the message?
In the forum, we're going to be having heads of states, we're going to be having heads of corporations, heads of philanthropic organizations, heads of private sector organizations, heads of youth organizations and adolescent organizations, because these are two different groups. We're going to have men and boys. We're going to have traditional leaders and religious leaders. This is the biggest ever coalition of actors who come together to stand up to accelerate the implementation of the agenda for women.
And I think key to that, if I'm not mistaken, would be the financial education of women, so that whether, like you say, they're unmarried or whether they are widowed, that they know exactly what needs to happen in their lives when they've lost their husband. They need to be aware. And I'm sad to say that many women, in my observation, in my experience, don't actually know. You know, somebody has to leave a note to say, if this happens to me, this is where I've left all the documents, or you go to that person. And women need to get on top of this.
Yeah, absolutely. People like you and me need to talk about this as often as we can within our families, but broadly in society, in order to make sure that women are much better prepared. In Paris, these are some of the issues that we will be discussing, and we certainly would like as many of you as possible to be there to register today. Do not end this day without registering, because most of the sessions will be virtual. We are opening on Tuesday afternoon, and we look forward to see you.
All right. So where do we go to be a part of this meeting?
In order to register, you go to generationequality.com. You will find the details there, or you go to UN Women website, or you go to my Twitter handle, and there you have details to register. Please register.